Hello and welcome back to this Seamus Evans show. I love listening to Michael Jackson. I love it so much. I love him. My favorite genre, I would say, is 80s pop because every single song is an absolute banger. And when Michael Jackson comes on, I just can't help but think about the documentary that came out about all of these, well, once were kids, now adults, talking about how he abused them. And that he never, whether he did or he didn't, and that giant question mark, which then opened up this massive question in my mind of like, I wonder how many other musicians did something sexually immoral. And for some reason today, we've either given him a pass or not. For example, Elvis, he married a 14-year-old. Have we forgotten this? Anyway, so I got one of my very good mates, JT. He's joining me now. He is a music expert about all things music. So JT, hey mate, welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate. It's great to be here.
First of all, let that sink in. Elvis married a 14-year-old. Like, could you imagine if you and I have known each other for 17 years. You knew me through my dating escapades. Could you imagine if I turned up to a dinner and was like, hey guys, this is my girlfriend. Yeah, she's 14.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
No, we would have called the police.
Yeah, I would have been arrested that night. With now not living in Neverland. Where does he live? Maryland?
Yeah, no, Neverland.
Neverland. No, that's Michael Jackson. Where did Elvis live?
Oh, sorry, Graceland. Sorry.
Graceland. I can't believe that's not a thing today, or that it wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, I think it was just, America has different laws for different states, and it's so massive that I think there were some states that where it would have been illegal and others where it probably wasn't. I mean, I don't know what the laws were in the 50s, but it was pretty bad.
Honestly, today cancelling someone is pretty powerful. Like the people now have a voice with social media, Twitter or X rather, YouTube, you name it. People can actually get cancelled. But I don't think Elvis is cancelable. Not the fact that he's not alive anymore, but he's too big. Do you think he would actually, if just say today the cancel police got together and said, hey, look, that's not something we agree with. You can't marry a 14-year-old. Let's cancel him. I think he's too big.
I tend to agree with you. And like you said in the intro, did Michael Jackson do it or not do it? I don't know. And look, if you had to look up what the laws were when Elvis married Priscilla, if he didn't break the law at the time, then I think that would be an even bigger aspect of him not being cancelled.
But one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on is you are like an encyclopedia with these types of facts with music.
To some extent.
What are some of the big kind of, because you love listening to music, you love music. And so, So in the recent years when some information's come to light, what are some of the bands that you're like, I don't know if I can listen to them anymore? What's happened?
I have to legally say, obviously.
Yeah, these are all alleged stories. Yeah.
It's not some. Yeah, that's a really good question. It's not. Well, Gary Glitter. I can't listen to Gary Glitter anymore, and he had some awesome songs. He's still alive and in jail.
Okay.
For being a pedophile and for underage abuse of boys. David Bowie gets on my nerves a little bit because he's.
Why? What happened with him?
He allegedly was with a girl, I think she was 13 or 14. It was the same girl that Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin had been with as well. And the discourse largely is that it was consensual, etc., etc. But I don't know, man. I don't know if David Bowie gets this pass of like, the Great White Duke and the guy who was like nice to everyone. I was like, yeah, I mean...
But he was with a kid.
Yeah. Jerry Lee Lewis is a big one. And he's not alleged. He's well done. He married. So also Elvis.
Do you mean Jerry Lewis, the comedian?
No, I mean Jerry Lee Lewis is in Great Balls of Fire. Jerry Lee
Lewis. Right.
He did. She was 14 when they got married. He married his cousin when she was 14, and they had a kid. And he has, I think, by the time he died, he had 7 wives.
What? At once?
No.
Or in total?
Yeah.
Accumulated.
One of his wives died, and the police turned up, and he had blood on him. and she had blood on him, but he never. I don't think he even went to trial for any of that. But there's certainly some dark question marks hanging over that. He was super abusive, and and even to his 14-year-old cousin, he was super abusive. But he was unrepentant. He said things like, I'm paraphrasing the quote, but he said something like, because his cousin that he married had been abused by her dad when she was even younger than 14. And he said some quote in the press, again, like I said, I'm paraphrasing, like, just my luck, I marry a 14-year-old and, she's not even a virgin.
Oh,
He was, in my opinion, one of the worst. And people still love listening to Great Balls of Fire.
yeah, I just find that so icky, first of all. Very, gross. And I don't understand how society gives some of these people a pass and others not.
It's interesting because he went to England not that long after he had married her, and it made big news over there. And they basically ran him out of England and said, "We don't want you here if you're the sort of person who marries your cousin, and you're gonna have babies and stuff." So he kind of left ashamed. But even that didn't. I mean, with the song "Great Balls of Fire," I mean, it's one of those songs.
Yeah, you get out of our butt. We're going to play it in the pubs, but you're not allowed in here.
Yeah, music occupies this space where we just look the other way. And I know that there's a tendency to say, well, it was a different time and everyone was doing it. And I mean, I guess two things can be true, but at the same time, I think back to your comment about being cancelled, people have been cancelled for a lot less.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's just weird, these musicians and their music that we hold dear, we just happy to look the other way. It's quite a bizarre phenomenon.
Do you think it's happy to look the other way, or do you think it's trying to separate church and state from person and art? So, when it came to Kevin Spacey around the #MeToo movements, that really affected me because I was like, oh, but I love his acting and I love the movies he's in, and I will continue to watch them. I will, even though I don't agree with what he was accused of. And as a person and as an actor and as a character, that's wrong. But I'm still going to watch American Beauty.
Sure, yeah. It's that age old, can you separate the artist from the art? And I think fundamentally that has to be a question only, each individual can answer for themselves. But then do you start to talk about, well, that one's not so bad because that actually went to trial and he wasn't convicted per se. Whereas you've got someone like Rolf Harris who was convicted, or Bill Cosby. Could you watch the Cosby Show now and still enjoy it, or would every second Bill Cosby says something you'd be thinking about
what he did in the dressing room only half an hour earlier?
Yeah. Why can you do that? But you can still watch American Beauty. What's the difference?
That's a really good point. I wonder if acting falls into a different category because Kevin Spacey is playing a different person, whereas the artist is themselves creating a music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
sense. It's just same as Bill Cosby. Yes, he was acting in a show, but comedian acting is kind of just playing themselves in a role. Yeah. Whereas, American Beauty and House of Cards, very, very different characters.
True. Yeah.
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one. And I don't know that there will ever be an answer. It's like you said, what things can and can't you listen to? I still listen to Michael Jackson. But is that because everything, hasn't been actually proven and he can't defend himself now? He did go to court and he was acquitted, all that sort of stuff. Are those just easy things to latch onto because Billie Jean is such a good song?
I wonder if whether they're alive and getting royalties impacts that decision. So just say Elvis was alive today. No, let's not use Elvis. Let's use
because Priscilla she was 14 when they met, but when they got married, she was 22 and he was 35 or something like that.
Okay,
he still dated her when she was way too young.
Yeah, it's still very questionable.
Yes.
But just say that rolling, what was the Ring of Fire, Lake of Fire? What was the one you said before?
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. If maybe say he wasn't getting money for it, he didn't get any royalties, then would it be okay? Or is it the fact that maybe he's seeing something from it, his product, then it's like, oh, you did something wrong and, I don't know, but
hadn't thought about that. Yeah, it's quite possible.
Because Elvis isn't here, right? And Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, even though he was never proven guilty. But even if he was and he's not here, it's a little bit easier to enjoy the music because he's not benefiting.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And you could say, well, who would be benefiting? You would have to assume it's his kids, and it's not his kids' fault. What he did, whatever he may or may not have done. So yeah, that's a really good point. But having said that, there's plenty around who are still alive and benefiting. Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. He had an underage girlfriend, and in order to get her across a state line, I think he legally adopted her so that she could travel with him. And then she, of course, got pregnant, and then I think he ended things.
He adopted his girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he did, so that they could travel across state lines. Because again, they have different laws from state to state, and she was a minor, and so the only way she could travel out of state lines was with a parent or guardian.
See, I don't see how we can paint that brush with, it was a different time, because
I don't either.
It's a child.
Yeah.
And how did someone around them go, hey, whoa, what are you doing, man? I guess this is where it falls into when someone is making a lot of people a lot of money. That's when people turn a blind eye. It's like, did you listen to the Charlie Sheen podcast?
Not the podcast. I watched the doco.
Okay. Well, he mentioned it in the doco, but he was talking about it with Joe Rogan. And he was like, I was, partying all hours of the night. How did no one pull me aside? Or how did no one step in and say, this can't be healthy? Is he okay? No one did that. Instead, the leeches got on and made money off him and told him to continue. So there must be that element of Aerosmith in the 90s, absolutely massive. Why would anyone want to put an end to that and be that person? No, I'm morally correct. Yeah, but dude, you're ruining a payday for everyone.
Yeah. And look, I should also say that was all alleged to have happened before the 90s. So
right.
That was back when they first kind of got mega famous. Because they were mega famous through the 70s and into the 80s.
Were they?
So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the 90s was kind of a resurgence for them. So yeah,
who's the drummer? What's his name?
I want to say it's Joey Kramer. I'm pretty sure
the greatest name in the world.
Sure that's the name of the Aerosmith drummer, Joey Kramer. He's either the bass player or the drummer.
Do you know what I find really fascinating? Like, obviously, I'm not a musical person, but I enjoy music, and I can tell, like, my gut and my ears, they can tell when it's good music, okay? And you can tell when it's not. And sometimes I'll hear a song that absolutely sucks. And then I'll hear a song that is brilliant. And I don't understand what makes one more popular than the other. And I don't know if you have insight into this, but like, it's pretty hard. If you make a really good song in your basement, right, with nothing but a guitar and soul and just spitting your emotions out onto this record, and then you get some overproduced pop song that's in the top of the pops, top charts for like a year. I don't understand how good doesn't just surpass everything else.
I mean, that's such a multifaceted answer, and I wouldn't even have all the answers, but part of it is the mood of the general public. Part of it is, some people just want something to dance to. Some people don't want to hear like a really moving personal song, but when one comes along and kind of the developed world or even the entire globe, as one goes, yeah, wow, we understand this. We can plug into this. It's almost cosmic. Like, just imagine. So how many people are into music how many people are in the world now? Like 7 billion, probably more.
Mm-hmm.
How many musicians, how many unbelievable, like, songs as good as Stairway to Heaven exist that will never see the light of day. There would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. And they just don't get out there. So I think the current times have a big influence on what's popular and what's not. I couldn't tell you what's in the top 10 at the moment. I honestly wouldn't know. I do know country music has had a big resurgence over the last 2 to 5 years. And I do wonder if that's something to do with people are craving a little bit of authenticity, even though, I'm sure country has some things that aren't that authentic. And I think that there's some science behind it. There's a specific pitch of some songs that is apparently more appealing to the human ear if they're at a certain frequency range than other ones.
Really?
I watched an example of it. I think it was that Tears for Fears song, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, or something like that. And they played it, and then they said, and here's what it was sped up to. And it makes you subconsciously like more happy and more, you're like, yeah, all right, I'm tapping along on my steering wheel. There's definitely some brain science involved in there. But I would guarantee 99.9% of people writing songs aren't going, oh, I've got to hit the good brain frequency for this song.
So Kyle Sanderlands.
Yeah, you love him.
I love Kyle Sanderlands. He has every single one of his songs on the whole station sped up.
I thought all radio did that.
I'm fairly sure he does it
even
more than the other stations.
Yeah, right.
And it came out when they were interviewing like how Ed Sheeran, and Ed was like, have you sped that up? He's like, yeah, I have. Interesting. Like it was by like, the tiniest 1%, 2%, but it was just to kind of, and apparently they do that to every single one of their songs. What is it, do you think, that is the catalyst to propel an artist into, I guess, mainstream or even just popularity? Do you think there's an element of talent? Because there are so many people out there who are famous that aren't very good singers, who aren't very good drummers, aren't very good guitarists. What do you think is the X factor? Is it marketing?
That's a really good question. And I don't know if there is one X factor. I mean, it's funny if you think about it just kind of generally. You think about some people who have broken through and become popular, but there's a general amount of them are kind of singer-songwriters or let's even take Chapel Roan. She's a megastar now. You can see those clips of her singing those songs 10 years ago to no one in the park.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think the public can it's a split between they can see that authenticity and respect it and admire it. And then they also, the other half just don't care and, will listen to, I'm aging myself here, but, something like Crazy Frog can be like the number in the top 10. Remember 100 years ago when they were in the top 10, just completely devoid of any artistic integrity whatsoever. And yeah, I think it's like, think of it like food, like you can eat Macca's, and we all love Macca's every now and then, but if you keep on eating it, obviously it's going to be bad for you. So you need that good home cooked meal. You need veggies. I think music's kind of the same. I probably sound like a prat saying that, but and everyone's musical vegetables are different. So yeah, I think it's just people be people, and ones without the apparent like talent, that's definitely marketing / they're probably very conventionally attractive. Yeah, that's all that stuff is.
There has to be an element of cosmic aligning. I know that sounds deep and philosophical.
No, there does.
But like there has to just be a matter of the right time, right place, right atmosphere, right timing of the world and what the people need, and just an energy that comes through. Wasn't Jimi Hendrix, didn't he like not have a very good voice? Like he was a bad singer?
You wouldn't call him a vocalist. He could sing a song, but he kind of sang. He was all about feel. Like you don't sit down and go, man, that guy can deliver a vocal take. When you listen to a Jimi Hendrix song, you just go, man, that guy played guitar like, because he was an alien. And he could keep a tune together. And whenever he sang with integrity. So he wasn't trying to, like American Idol things.
Right.
He just sang because someone needed to sing, so he did it.
Which was a sense of rebellion because they sang how they wanted to sing. And obviously probably being a black man in the 70s could have helped. Was he in the 70s or 60s?
60s.
Right.
That was when he came to prominence. He played Woodstock, 69. Yeah, look, that was definitely, that was a huge global shift from the 40s and 50s into the 60s. It's interesting because it's kind of the change of every decade, something new comes along. So then the 80s come along, and it's the end of the 70s was punk and the Sex Pistols and that sort of stuff swept through because we were sick of all the cool, hippie, flowery stuff from the 60s. And then that happens in the 80s. And then the 80s comes through and punk kind of gives way to hair metal and bands like Poison and that sort of stuff. And then the early 90s, we kind of got sick of that. And so grunge comes along with like finally something real. And I don't think that's happening, as you can't track that change as easily anymore. Like what happened in between in the decade of the 2000s and then 2010. Like we kind of just, everything kind of stayed the same. It just kind of changed a little bit. 20s into the 2020s, it's as if we've kind of created this self-feeding, what's the right word, industry, where it's like, because we have so much choice now, the world collectively isn't crying out for an alternative, because there's a million alternatives with a few keystrokes on your phone or your laptop, and you just go, oh, cool, yeah, that's there now. As opposed to before technology the internet became a huge thing, it was like, yeah, man, we're crying out for some change.
Yeah.
And that would usually, what reflects the current times and political climates and social climates, singers and songwriters and artists. So that's kind of their job. So now we're spoiled for choice, is my thinking.
Well, yeah, if you look back at Elvis, right, to take it back to him, the most famous man in the world, and I would say arguably almost still to this day, him and Michael Jackson, there's probably a handful of others that might come close. I reckon Justin Bieber could be put up in that category. He was very famous and in terms of fame. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course.
But the reason why, if you look at Michael and if you look at Elvis, there was two platforms, and it was radio and television. Oh, there you go, and magazines. So 3. Then live audience. So there was a bottleneck, and if you were at the forefront at that bottleneck, and if you were at the top of the pile, it just wasn't enough room. Like maybe back in Elvis's day, there were 20 famous people, like 20 artists, that's all you knew.
Yeah, you might be right. Look, I just brought up the current top 10 in Australia, and I'm going to read them out and see if you know any.
Oh, yeah.
The number 1 single is Golden, which is something from K-pop Demon Hunters, which I know is a thing, but I don't, it's K-pop.
Don't know it. I know of the show.
Number 2 is Man I Need by Olivia Dean. Never heard of.
No.
Number 3, Ordinary by Alex Warren.
Oh, I know Alex Warren from my radio days.
He's had singer-songwriter type.
Don't know. He's had other stuff.
Okay. No Broke Boys is number 4 by Disco Lines and Tanashi or Tanash.
Takashi?
No, it's definitely T. No. Soda Pop is number 5. That's another K-pop Demon Hunter song. 12 to 12 by Somber is number 6. Another K-pop Demon Hunters is number 7. Another Somber song, Back to Friends. Another K-pop Demon Hunters is number 9. And funnily enough, Daisies by Justin Bieber is number 10.
Hello.
Okay, so that, and let's by comparison, let's go back to see if we can get the
top songs in the 90s or whatever.
Top 10, yeah. Let's go
80, because that was my favorite.
Okay,
I don't know.
Let's go 1985 because it's a bang in the middle. Okay, see, how did we do this before the internet? This is why. Okay, the number 1 song is "We Are the World."
Yep.
Number 2 and number 3 are both Madonna songs, Angel, Into the Groove, and Crazy for You.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Live It Up, Mental as Anything. Great song. Number 5, I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner.
Oh, I love that song.
Number 6, Out of Mind, Out of Sight by The Models. Number 7, Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Number 8, I Got You Babe by UB40 with Chrissy Hind. Number 9 is I Should Have Known Better by Jim Diamond. I know that song. Number 10 is Would I Lie to You by The Eurythmics. Okay, so let's look through that. We Are the World, that's a pop song. Into the Groove and Crazy for You, both pop songs. One's a ballad. Live It Up is a pop rock song. I Want to Know What Love Is, ballad. Out of Mind, Out of Sight, straight up rock and roll. Money for Nothing, straight up rock and roll. I Got You Babe is like hybrid white reggae.
I Got You Babe. Isn't that Sonny and Cher?
Yeah, there's this cover of the Sonny and Cher song. It was a huge hit.
Oh, okay.
Should Have Known Better is a ballad. Would I Lie to You is a rock song. So it feels like there was more diversity in terms of taste back then, because I think we were happy to say, yeah, We Are the World, we like that. And then we're happy to say Money for Nothing, yeah, we love that. And then Crazy for You by Madonna, we're like, oh, yeah, we love that. We've all been crazy for someone. Whereas that top 10 we read out for currently in Australia, I'm like, K-pop Demon Hunters. No, obviously that's not we're not the target demographic for that. But you can't help but think it's probably shit. Like you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm not rushing out to watch it. Yeah.
It's not about soul and having a broken heart or being happy you're in love, or
it's karaoke in a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. And so why are we more okay with that now? Is it because internet access drives listens and you have internet access now from, I don't know, when are you going to let your daughter get on the internet? Let's say 10? I don't know. I'm not a parent.
Well, she watches YouTube now.
There you go. So
Not
that's
on her own, obviously.
No, of course. But that's all going to bump all that stuff up. So it really is quite a phenomenon that I don't fully understand.
From what I have learned after almost 2 decades of being in broadcast media and marketing and entertainment, the business side of things is target kids, because the kids are the ones who beg the parents to buy the thing. And then the parents will just, they'll buy the thing. And also, kids follow trends. Like Crazy Frog, that's kids. That's not 25-year-olds, doing lappies around the valley in their Honda Accord. That's the kids playing it, asking their mum and dad, can you get it on the ringtone? And not only that, there's a few factors that the K-pop Demon Hunters, right? Mm-hmm. It's on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Not only that, if you look across social media on YouTube, like K-pop is massive.
Yeah, it is.
It is really, really big. Now that we're entering into a digital age where people live lives on screens, K-pop and anime is a very, very, once like only 15, 20 years ago was a very niche thing. People played Magic cards and watched Dragon Ball Z. That was it, right? But now it's a full thing. And it was so niche, but now it's become a lot more mainstream. So you've got Netflix, and because it's on Netflix, trending on Netflix, then the radio stations pick it up, and then the Spotify and everything else go, what's being consumed? Let's jump on that. My theory when it comes to bringing back old mate who's just belting out some soul in a guitar, and if that gets to the top of the charts, that will last a lot longer, not necessarily at the top, but in people's minds. Whereas if you've got the K-pop Demon Hunter song, sure, that'll be at everybody's backyard party and 15th birthday party for the next 3 months. Then you'll never hear about it again.
True.
But old mate in the guitar, he's going to be on that 80s list next to Madonna.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So a little side fun fact about K-pop, it was actually a government initiative from South Korea to they needed to bring back confidence in the South Korean economy and get people spending money. So they thought up K-pop. And
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's not some weird conspiracy like horrible government initiative. I mean, they did it. They were like, man, how do we make some money and get people loving South Korea? It was like, we'll do it through music. And K-pop was born.
Well, Gangnam Style was one of the first, PSI, whatever his name was. Yeah. He was the first kind of K-pop. And again, he was like a solid artist for years and years and years.
There you go.
Made that as a joke, as a spit take at Gangnam, which is a city in South Korea where all the rich people are. And it's like saying, it's Gangnam Style, as in like, that's upper class, that's fancy. Yeah, kind of like the Valley in Brisbane or James Street, New Farm. It's just thumbing his nose up at them. And it just got really famous. But like, even if you look at, that song, like, what does the fox say? Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. This is targeted at kids. Like, because kids go, oh my gosh, that's so funny. Play it again. And from a business mindset, you go, well, what's going to get played 1 million times? What's going to be forced to be played? It's if you target kids, they rule the world.
Yeah. Look, okay. So we may have with our big brains answered this time-old question. Let's go back to the 50s when Elvis first came on the scene.
Yeah.
Have a surprise as to who that was marketed to.
Kids. Yeah, exactly.
It was all kids. And Colonel Tom Parker was like, we got to get those kids in, man. And they did. And that was probably, I guess that was the first time kids probably had a little bit of agency in terms of, things this is, for you, your parents won't like it. I'm sure there's always been rebellious kids, but like, here's this thing called rock and roll and it's for kids. It's not for your parents. And, that was the start of that. Before that, how did you rebel in the 40s? Honestly, I don't know. You didn't smoke or you didn't wear a hat somewhere. I honestly don't know. Yeah.
Didn't go to war, I guess.
Yeah. It's always been about the kids. And now that never changed. It's just that now the kids are way more powerful in terms of how they dictate what becomes popular and what doesn't, because they're the ones clicking on it all the time.
Now let's just talk and dissect Elvis for a bit. What, other than, okay, so if we look at when he kind of did skyrocket into fame? It was after World War One or after because he went to war. So it was after World War.
No, he joined the army. He didn't go to war. He was stationed in Germany. That's where he met Priscilla, because she was the daughter of a colonel or something like that. America has a big base over there, Ramstein base. It's still there. It's still one of the biggest US military bases in Europe, as far as I know. So he got stationed over there. But yeah, he wasn't in any active duty. So World War, that was, he's post World War II.
So World War II, the whole world needs something because everyone's kind of depressed and lost a lot of family members or whatever. Then you've got a kid who's a genius, an absolute talent. Like,
this is the thing. That boy could sing,
can sing.
Undeniably. Very good looking.
Very good looking, can sing. And the juxtaposition of a white man singing black man music and also dancing the same way Black Americans did back then as well. Yeah. So there's probably an element of, oh my gosh, this is different. And also probably racism of white people following a white person rather than a black person. Because I've seen so many different arguments about more talented black artists back then that weren't famous like Elvis.
That's not untrue. I have musician friends who won't listen to Elvis because of the fact that he basically got rich and famous off of black music. And, I don't discount that. I don't say that didn't happen. However, I think that is definitely a sign of those times back then, because there was no way. America was still segregated. There was no way. It wouldn't matter if Black Elvis came along. There was no way someone black was going to be allowed to be who Elvis was allowed to be, because there's just that it just would not be accepted. And so if Elvis didn't do it, somebody else would have. And he, to his credit, there were other people like Jerry Lee Lewis that we mentioned at the start, he would deny that anything he played came from black people. That's really? He was legit racist. Whereas Elvis would always talk about it. He would always mention in interviews, where songs came from. Not in his first band, but when he got to Vegas, for me, he was in his prime musically. He had black backup singers, that sort of stuff. Like he was as much acknowledging it as I think he probably could at the time. So I personally don't subscribe to you should boycott Elvis because he stole music. I mean, what's he going to do? He's not going to sit back and go, I can't do this because this music belongs to black people. You could argue, I think, with just as much conviction that he helped bring black music, now we're talking about, or now we know after the fact, admittedly, which isn't great, that it was, black people did invent rock and roll. And that's not to say black people weren't famous. Like, you had people like
Ray Charles
and Ray Charles and Fats Domino, and the list goes on. Black people were definitely a thing. Jackie Wilson, one of my favorites. But like I said, there's no way at that point in America would they have been allowed to cross over the way Elvis was, because I'm quite sure it was older white men in charge at the very top.
Let's look at this from a conspiracy theory. Now, Elvis, Michael Jackson, what was the guy from Nirvana again? What's his name? Kurt Cobain. The Doors, what was his name?
Jim Morrison.
If you put all of these people together and you look at how popular, successful, talented, revolutionary, and they all die young, I wonder, I remember...
What's your conspiracy theory?
Yeah. I'm getting a little deep here, and I'm going to need some time to explain it.
Yeah, please explain away.
I dated a girl once who said that there is a law, L-O-R-E, a law of the earth, that when something has too much number, humans, animals, or whatever, there is a natural disaster to reduce those numbers, okay? Now, look at your face.
Yeah, I hope you didn't date her for very long. Anyway.
I did not.
Keep going. People are allowed to think what they want.
Now, I wonder if there is this invisible, unspoken law of when someone has too much, Tupac, when someone has too much talent, too much success, too much popularity, their head's got to come off. They hit the top. They can't go any further for some sort of realm that we don't understand. And then I've got a second theory on it as well. But
okay, so let's run through them. So Elvis. This is, again, legally, this is my personal opinion. His manager, the Colonel, Tom Parker, is directly responsible for his death, in my opinion. He just worked him to death.
To the bone. Yeah.
So Elvis was Elvis. Literally nobody is going to say no to him except for maybe Colonel Tom Parker. I will credit the Colonel. He was responsible for the 58 comeback special when Elvis came back from the army. He turned that into what was going to be this horrible schmaltzy Christmas special into that absolutely kick-ass
him with it's a black leather sitting in.
That was all the Colonel. Okay, I'll give that to the Colonel. But he worked him so hard, especially when he got to Vegas. He got addicted to pills in the army, trying to stay awake on guard duty in Germany. Very common practice for them to take stimulants. That's where he started taking that stuff. And he's not looking after himself. He's working way, way, way too hard. Nobody's saying no. Nobody's saying, Elvis, maybe don't make that peanut butter and banana toasty and, whatever he used to do. So he was in terrible shape and he died. He was driven to that death. Who was the next one that you talked about?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. You've heard that audio of the night before he died, right?
What is the audio?
It's the audio. His doctor was putting him to sleep with the general anesthetic drug, right? I can't remember the Robin Williams quote, but there's a brilliant.
It's like taking chemotherapy to shave your head.
Exactly. So there's audio of him not long before he died, and he's been banged up with propofol or whatever it was, and he can hardly talk. But he was about to launch that "This Is It" tour, right? The one they were rehearsing for, that the doco's about. And he's really slowed speech, and he's going, "This is it, this is it." So dodgy doctor, again, my opinion. Michael was, again, someone that nobody ever said no to from the time he was, 18 years old. So if he's like, I can't sleep, I'm going to take general anesthetic, you're going to find a doctor who's willing to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to die.
Yeah.
So Kurt Cobain. Okay, this is one that I feel incredibly passionate about because I'm a Nirvana kid. They came along at the end of 1991. I was in grade 11, so it sounds ridiculous to say, but Nirvana completely and utterly changed my life, and I'll never not love them. I don't care what anyone says. And the reason that I love them was because Kurt Cobain came along, and for me, he was the guy who everything he was screaming about and pouring his heart into on an album was something that I've felt or been through, and so I could absolutely relate to that. And so that's an immense giving of self, and he gave and gave and gave. And imagine being referred, you're a kid who had the upbringing he did, coming from nothing in Aberdeen, in Seattle, and suddenly you're the voice of a generation. It's not something you ever thought you would be or wanted, but you are. You can't even imagine the immense amount of pressure. So he gave everything. His absolute soul was given to us so that we as a collective planet could feed off of that art that he created. And you can't give that much of yourself and have anything left. Throw into the mix a crippling heroin addiction, married to Courtney Love isn't going to help, I don't think.
Yeah.
He just, again, I guess it kind of feeds into too much talent. He gave too much of himself to do that.
Interesting.
Jim Morrison, probably more of an idiot than all of those put together. Like he was,
23-year-old on drugs. I mean, oh no, he was 27. Sorry, 27.
He was in the 27 club, but yeah, he was probably fairly annoying, I think, in terms of a person. I'm not really basing it. Obviously, I wasn't there. But I think, again, The Doors is a band that you get into when you're between the ages of 14 and 16 and you think they're the most amazing voices of generations that you'd ever heard. It was like, oh man, I wish I was alive in the 60s so I could see The Doors. And then this is what happened to me. You go through a phase of going, oh, this is actually, the music is unreal. He seems like a bit of a knob. And I think, he left The Doors and he went to Paris and he was again taking heroin and not looking after himself, and he died. I don't think, I'm not saying he wasn't special, and the Doors, I've actually in the last 12 months gotten back into The Doors and really love them. And yeah, he definitely was special, but he doesn't fit for me into the category of so much talent that he just had to kind of implode. I think he was just a knob who wasn't looking after himself and had a lot of money, and yeah, there's a common, through most of them, there's a common denominator, and it's substance abuse.
Which brings me to my second conspiracy theory. Now, as you know, I grew up in the church, so I have a
Mhm.
Christian faith.
Sure.
You are an atheist. Now, obviously, as
I
an
also
adult,
grew up going to church and church at school, all that stuff.
okay. So there is in like the biblical sense, there was Lucifer, who's the devil, who's Satan, who was the fallen
Fell from
angel.
heaven. Yeah.
Yep. Said, God, I don't want to be a part of this. I want my own thing. Okay, go to Earth. Now it's the ever-going battle between good and evil. Okay, Lucifer and God. Lucifer was the top musician of all the angels, supposedly. So my mother has told me.
Are you kidding me? She's the Jimi Hendrix of heaven.
What?
Okay.
So supposedly Lucifer was the music one. So it was him and Michael. They were like the two top dogs of the angel world. And apparently Lucifer was the music one. And so there's this whole thing. And even growing up in Hillsong, there was so much like messaging around the devil's music, like what you're listening to, be careful. Like that's the devil's world. And I wonder, just let's play in a world that's real. Okay. Now,
Sure.
You've got these people who are so famous, and obviously, you know how they talk about like selling your soul to the devil and you become really successful.
Mhm.
I wonder if there is an element of either it was an active they sold their soul, or it was just one of those things where the devil gave them so much success and then took them away, and that was the payment for the success. Conspiracy theory out there.
I mean, I guess you'd have to believe in God and the devil for that to be true. Robert Johnson is the most famous example of that, the famous blues guitarist who went to the crossroads and did make a deal with the devil.
Really?
Yeah. He's a quite an old, old as I mean from like a long time ago, pre-Elvis, that sort of stuff. Black blues guitarist who he allegedly went and did that, and he had, and he wrote songs about it. He's got songs, Hellhounds on My Trail, all that sort of stuff. Like he was a tortured dude. Led Zeppelin, they were into the occult and black magic. They were big into Aleister Crowley. So, of course, theories are going to start that, the reason they were so insanely good at what they did was because, they signed a deal with the devil.
Marilyn Manson, I guess he was a part of the Satanic Church for a while.
Right.
Yeah. He still is or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably just sucks.
Do you not like Marilyn Manson?
I mean, I remember the songs being around. I didn't actively dislike him back in the day, but he's another one. Actually, he's another one whose the allegations of abuse came forward, and I'm happy to never listen to him again.
Do you know, I like Marilyn Manson. I don't like his music. I like the covers that he did, sure. But I read his autobiography. I've watched countless interviews with him. I love him as a character. I think he's a brilliant person to engage with, right? I've never done it in person, but you know what I mean, right? But his music, I tried. I gave it a go. Nah, it just didn't sink in with me.
So yeah, back to the devil just killed them because he gave them too much. I don't know, man. That just sounds
like I'll give you the world, but I'll take you early. That's the deal.
What's your swearing policy on this podcast?
I go for it.
That just sounds fucking ridiculous. Like, I mean, to someone who believes in heaven and hell, of course, that's a palpable theory. I guess you could run with that. But that doesn't pass the pub test with me.
Pub test.
Because that's so subjective. It's so subjective. And as always, I think with every case that you could come up with, I reckon I could find a palpable reason.
Yeah, it's like not all of them have, even though, sure, if you look at the 27 Club, this common denominator is drugs. But if you look at how many people have taken drugs and died, it's not special. Okay, so we went through and we kind of looked at every single person I mentioned who had died too young, and there was a reason why they died so young, right? And now I'm saying, if you look at the 27 Club, if you should find a consistency to make that conspiracy theory of the devil taking them too young, there isn't a consistency because the only thing they would have in common would be substance abuse and dying from an overdose. But given how many people have died of an overdose and who aren't in the 27 Club, who were famous and not, it's not really
Sure, I see what you're saying.
Realistic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Sure.
like, well, that's a pretty common thing. If you give someone lots of money and they do a lot of drugs,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Freddie Mercury, who was someone who was very famous, very rich, did do a lot of drugs. He died from complications from HIV.
Mm.
What are you gonna blame his death on? Or is it so concrete that, you know, he did have AIDS and that's why he died?
Yeah, that's yeah. Wow.
But
I
is
guess
the
it's
devil
just...
involved in that, because that's a pretty dick move from the devil to give him a horrible.
Well,
like
listen, he's not a very good guy. I don't think he
part
has
of his thing.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But why Freddie Mercury? You know,
I don't know. Did he die? Did he sign the contract? That's what I want to know. Now, let's try and go back and we'll look at wrapping it up. But let's have a try and list out the most successful, most popular, most famous, pivotal people in music. So obviously there's Elvis, there's Michael, there's Freddie, there's who else? There's Kurt, Elton John,
the Beatles, the Rolling Stones.
Now, hang on. Instead of saying the Beatles, can you say a band, or does it have to be one person?
Well, I don't know. I'm just holding this cat, mate.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah, sure. If you're just going to do solo artists, yeah, sure. Let's stick to solo.
Let's go solo artists.
Okay.
Because that, for me, like a band, there's a team of people, right?
Sure.
A solo artist, there's a team, but it's more so one person.
Okay, sure. Okay. Well, let's bring some women into it. So you've got Madonna, arguably the biggest. That she certainly smashed those massive glass ceilings. You have to mention Beyonce. You have to mention Taylor Swift.
Do you think Taylor Swift holds up compared to Madonna? Or she has more years to go? Because if you look at Madonna, she has brought out music every single decade.
Yeah, you're right.
Taylor has only been around for 2.
Yeah, you're right. And look, I think Taylor's just got a better team in terms of the music production. I mean, Madonna's songs through the 80s and 90s, oh my gosh, forget about it. Absolutely incredible. But it's been a while. And look, as you get older, it gets harder to sing and perform and physically be able to do it. That's got nothing to do with, that's just, the aging process. And of course, women get the raw deal because, the older men they just kind of get, their voices just kind of get sexier, maybe a little bit lower in terms of how the range they've got, unless you sting, but everything else just, gets sexier and more kind of awesome. If you're a dude. For a woman, it's much harder.
Really, you have to hand it to the women, because not only that, they're up against breaking the mold of sexism that has historically been around against women for so long. For people like Madonna, like Taylor Swift, for them to break through, that's very impressive.
Of course. And back to the 27 Club, Janis Joplin was a member of that, and she smashed through. For her to smash through like that, and people used to make fun of her for being ugly. Even after she was famous, people would say she was too ugly, and she had massive self-esteem problems as a result and died young due to alcohol abuse. But yeah, to do that, so you put that context of being a woman in the 60s would be twice as hard. So yeah, so there's women like that. I'm trying to think of, there's got to be more. There's someone, Whitney Houston's got to be one for sure. And died, drugs. Who else are we talking about? Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
Huge. Everyone knows Aretha Franklin. Trailblazing. And to do it in the 50s and 60s as a black woman from the South, I can't even imagine.
No, that's what I mean. How are they able to do it? That's what I mean by something larger than that individual.
Yes.
Let's not bring in the faith or religion in that, right? But if you're looking at a greater energy, a greater power of timing, that cosmic energy of just the world coming together for that one pinnacle moment, and then that one person decides, I'm going to play that song on the radio. Bam! And it just skyrockets into success.
Yeah. And I mean, let's look at Aretha. Her biggest song, you would have to say, is Respect. And she just, it's all heart. She's an insanely talented singer. That's that thing where it's all those factors that are all present. And I think, part of me, collectively, we kind of don't even notice them. Like, she's so good. She's got everything that you don't sit back and go, well, this isn't a great song, but she's got an awesome voice. You sit back and go, great song, amazing voice. She means what she says. Yeah, she's confident. There's so many things, maybe further to your point, that have to align. And that song has to come along at a time when women are saying, collectively, hey, get your shit together, men. Like, we deserve respect. And so that resonated with women at the time because they were starting to go through those changes. So yeah, it was, you released that song in the 70s as a disco song, probably doesn't hit,
I wonder if drugs play a big part of what makes music popular. Now, I don't mean the person taking the drugs, like the artist. I mean the trend of the drug. So for example, if you look at the 70s, it was heroin. And I'm assuming a lot of the music would fit if you were having a heroin high. And then if you look at the 90s, well, I'm just trying to come up with different, like ecstasy in the 2000s, a lot of upbeat kind of disco-esque trance music, cocaine. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if there is, as a drug trend spikes, a music trend spikes. And then I wonder if it's one or the other. Is it the artist on the drug or is it the consumer on the drug?
It's quite possible. I mean, I know we said bands are a little bit different, but, the Beatles clearly drug influenced and that was a time when, I think, and again, I reckon that's one of those subconscious things that people don't really realize is happening. But if someone is in an altered state in their consciousness and it's a higher state, they're on a different plane and they're making music, you go, oh, I wonder, like, I think there might be something to that, people are also experiencing that in their lives. And then this music comes along that taps back into that experience they had and they go, oh yeah, wow, this is amazing.
Do you think Eminem fits into the category that Elvis, Michael Jackson, and all these people fit in? Like, where do you stand on Eminem? Because I personally think he does belong up there with his talent and his talent.
I was listening to him just last week and he is, again, someone who came along. Rap music is obviously black music. He does it. And again, he didn't set out with a malicious plan to go, well, I'm going to rip off rap music even though I'm white. He just loves rap music and that's what he makes. Same with Elvis. He just loves singing those songs, so he sang them. So I do believe that he is up there in that list, in that room in heaven that the devil got kicked out of.
Yeah.
I think he's up there because largely a household name in the developed world. Yeah, and even the songs that aren't hits, like he is a phenomenal lyricist, like absolutely scathingly brilliant in some of his lyrics. So I really think he changed the game for sure.
He definitely falls into, the GOAT category.
Yeah,
and the
without
talent.
doubt. Yeah.
And one of the things I've noticed about, if you look at all of these greats, they've been able to be consistent in bringing out hit after hit after hit, year after year after year. That's the difference between looking at the top 40 that now, right? Maybe if Ed Sheeran continues to release and they still are hits, then he would fall into that category in 20 years or 30 years or 40 years or whatever it is. Now, to wrap it up, who would be your all-time? Who is the greatest of all time? Band, whether it's a band, whether it's a solo artist. Now, this is going to be a two-part question, so I'm happy to give you two answers.
Okay.
Personally, like, who is your GOAT personally? And who do you think is the GOAT? Because I reckon they're two different answers.
Man, it's so hard to answer. I honestly think if we're bringing all those, so many different factors into contributing to this decision, I think it has to be Elvis.
Yeah, same. It's Elvis.
Yeah. As opposed to who is, I mean, I'm close to saying Michael, but at the same time, before he died, the songs weren't as good.
Right.
And it's an incredibly freakish thing to still be able to 30, 40, 50 years later, being able to put out songs because you're obscenely rich and what else? Your life is so removed from that of a normal person. How are you going to write songs that a normal person can say, well, yeah, I feel the exact same way? But maybe it does have to be Michael. He's certainly, I think if you played a Michael Jackson song to a millennial and an Elvis song to a millennial, they would pick the Michael Jackson song and they would probably go, who's that with the Elvis song?
Yeah, good point. What I have found interesting is an Elvis song was in the top charts not too long ago.
Really?
It was obviously a remake, but it was, someone brought it out and it was I'll have to find it. But we're talking 10 years ago.
Okay.
They Come
Are you
on.
talking about that Little Less Conversation song?
Yes, that one. Yes,
Yeah,
that
so
one.
that was 20 years ago. That was, that was 2003, I think, that came out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But that wasn't Elvis. Like, I mean, that came out many years ago. Then someone brought it back somehow through a DJ, right?
Yeah,
it was a DJ.
It was a single for Elvis, and then someone did a remix. And the thing was, it started off as a wicked song anyway. The original is not too far from that remix, but the remix just had that kick-ass drum loop to it.
Mm.
And I reckon it hit that that subconscious brain frequency where you go, yeah, all right, like this song is awesome, and it was a universal appeal. I think there's something to be said for a song that you can put on with your young family as opposed to listening to, like, I don't know, a protest song. Anything like that.
So I think what's interesting about that is the fact that, okay, yes, it was 20 years ago, but it's not out of the question that someone remakes and releases something with him today. That's not out of the question.
Let's look at Cyril. You know Cyril?
Yes,
DJ, Brisbane DJ. He's had a massive hit with that Stumbling In song. That's a Suzi Quatro song from the 60s.
Mm.
So that's going to happen. That's a really good point you make. That will happen again because those initial songs have captured that essence that is so brilliant. And then you put the stuff on it again. What have we said before? You put a hook on it for the kids and cool, we're away.
It's literally just dusting off the old and
just repackaging.
It's a new coat of paint.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm racking my brains to try and think of a classic song to remix because I listen to that Cyril one and go, oh man, like that's it. Like, wow, okay.
Mm. Mate, I could talk for a long time because there's so much more we could talk and uncover about copyright issue and what's to stop me bringing out as a DJ, bringing out an Elvis song and putting my beat to it. Anyway, but we got to wrap things up, mate. I really appreciate you chatting with me. It's been really,
yeah, it was great.
Loved it. So good.
Me too.
And listening now or watching this, I'd love to hear who your GOAT is. Is it Elvis? Is it Eminem? Is it Michael Jackson? Can you listen to Michael? Can you listen to Elvis? Can you not listen to an artist now because of some of the horrible things that they did when they were famous? I'd love to hear it in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. Catch you next time.